1700 against an 1800. So the 1700s suffer more from these sort of strategical errors in calculations, and they tend to kind of invite absolute mayhem at crucial stages of the game, points where you think they're winning, but yet somehow they end up in a not too good position. The plus side to their gameplay is that because they take those risks and chances and is all kind of crazy, they can shock and surprise the opponents, and if the opponent isn't ready, then it does look good for the 1700. But on the whole, generally, there's that mistake in the strategical calculation, which is the only thing that separates them from being an 1800 and possibly even jumping straight to 1900. What is the holistic position that I actually want to be in terms of being able to do something appropriate on the board? Where do I want to be? Not necessarily movements per se, you know, it's the idea of where can I gain advantage in this game? And they spot them, but it's usually kind of too late and craziness starts happening. King's castled. King is well home alone. So you'd think the basic strategy would be to give the king some company. Look at the pieces that are all over the place. They are +1 as well. But as we've said in many games, being +1 doesn't mean that you're actually winning the game. If you have a look at the position on the board, this is not looking very favourable for black, even though they are +1. Look at the king, the answer to chess. Put pressure on the king or the king area. White is just positioning themselves in readiness to actually finish that off. They are playing at 1800. So 1800s, as we know, can make mistakes because they can do some unnecessary moves, more so to do with showboating, because they may have a favourable position, but they may over-egg it a little bit with a little bit of style or a little bit of panache to say, look at what I can do. That's a nice move, because what is it doing? If the rook moves, rook is going to be hitting the king. It's always going to be happening potentially, but let's see if they over-egg it and don't take advantage of their good position as the 1800. So we know what the 1800's weaknesses are, we know what their strengths are, and now we know what the 1700's weaknesses are, is that they have that bit of a strategical miscalculation going. This kind of typifies that. Yeah. And we missed the early part of the game, but you can ascertain that they've come out, they've attacked, they've grabbed up pieces, grabbed up pawns and stuff like that. But has it improved their position on the board? Tempo wise, has it improved their minor pieces? If white allows them to gain that time back, then the showboating aspect of the 1800 is kicking in. Look at that check, look at that, beautiful. Only piece that can come and defend is this, and then takes, king takes. Doesn't mean they've won the game, because they've still got a knight and a bishop against their 2 rooks and a knight. But look at the position, it's a little bit shocking. So for me as a chess player, I do enjoy looking at other players' games and just looking at the traits as best possible, understanding what makes them make the decisions that they're making, etc. And why does it look different to this game, or why does it look similar to that game? Looking at the openings, looking at from the lower level up to the 1900s, just basically saying, okay, well, they're fairly similar. Yeah, massive difference is that when you look at an 800 and you look at their openings, yeah, okay, then you look at a 1900 and you look at their openings, they can look very similar, but what is the difference? The difference is the 1900 is playing basic chess well. They're playing it really well, really good. Not excellent, like we keep saying, yeah, but they're playing basic chess really well. So it's like the yin yang picture in a sense. You know, starting off playing simple chess, yep. So you've not learned anything. You're just playing basic chess. You just simple. You know how the pieces move, etc. So you're moving them around the board. Nice simple openings. And then you start learning stuff which messes up your natural thought process that you had at the beginning of playing chess. Ooh, that's nice. So yeah, you lose your natural type of thought process because you're learning other people's theories. You're learning other ways of maneuvering and practicing different types of attacks, defenses, strategies, concepts, that type of stuff, and resignable at this point. And then you come to realize that once you've done all that learning, you want to just come back to a natural state, which is simple chess. You realize that it's not that complicated, the actual movement of the pieces on the board. What complicates it is people. I'm a person and I'm complicating the heck out of my chess because that's what we do. We want to try and find the answer to chess. We believe every game we play, we've got the answer to chess. This opening's going to work, this movement's going to work, this strategy's going to work, this plan's going to work. All the years of practice and training, it's going to work. But not in all cases. I'll get better and I'll feel happier with my games. But simple chess is the way to go in terms of enjoying my games a lot more. Wow, resignable, dude. And yep, 0 to 1900 is a good basis for gaining that knowledge and experience so that you can then at least compare and contrast other people's playing styles and systems so that then you know exactly what to expect when you play against an opponent. If that opponent has no rating, you can then look at the board and ascertain from their movements what kind of player you are facing.